Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, board members. Just wanted to pass on a positive sequence of events that took place a couple of weeks ago. It was the charrette, and I want to thank the county staff was well represented there. Made me very proud of Swan County. They were there, well represented, and hopefully from this we will be able to get some data that will help the county and the school board and various other groups that would be interested. With that said, I also had an opportunity to meet a lady who was there that represented the grant. She was head of grants for Swain, Macon, and Jackson County. And I told her that I would be in communication with her once the report was out and see if there's anything that the county could possibly use. And she knows that I'm an independent person and don't represent the county. Also, on a positive note, I wanted to thank the mayor for extending that charrette all the way to Lake Fontana. And I think that was a very neat thing for him to do. Thank you very much.
Bob first.
Kevin, put my name down. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. You might have read something in the paper the other day, but there was a discussion about a buffer for the riverfront park out here. Well, I was at that meeting, per chance, wasn't invited, I just kind of slipped in. What we were talking about actually was not a buffer, but it was to begin a restoration program of the riverbank. It's in pretty bad shape out there. There's a lot of erosion going on. The vegetation has been killed off. I think it was done by Roundup, but anyway, what I'd like the board to consider is to, I don't know the word, allow is the best one I can come up with right now. Some citizens to get together to plan a restoration of that bank out there so it stops the erosion, keeps plant life growing on it, and make it so that humans can use it without injuring it for the future, so that, you know, 10, 20 years from now, it's a matter of pride for the community that, you know, look what you can do on a riverbank. And that's the discussion that took place a couple weeks ago. So, you know, it'll take some money. We could get an expert in here for, I'm sure not much, to give us some guidelines of how to go about doing it. And I know that I could get enough volunteers to come in and do all the work to it, to make it so that it's something that would be an example for other riverfront and stream bank owners. Thank you. I'll be talking to y'all about this as we go along. So,
Jeffrey Fuller.
Item 5.
Leonard Winchester.
Thank you. In 2003, the Swan County Commissioners passed a resolution for a monetary settlement and for protecting the principal. The resolution makes a public statement to everybody, local, state, federal, citizens, officials, both elected and appointed, that this should be their guide in attempting to achieve goals for Swan County. Since that time, members of my group have been regularly and actively engaged to try to accomplish the goals of that resolution. The legislation offered by Snow and Hare is totally consistent with that resolution. That resolution was the basis for their legislation. Pro Road people have promoted this issue in recorded comments at the 20 public hearings and in repeated letters to the newspapers, claiming that any settlement would quickly be wasted away and that we were in this because we were greedy and wanted to line our pockets. You've seen this stuff in the newspapers. How can the same people now object to protecting settlement funds? It's a total contradiction. Could it be that they don't want it protected because they won't be able to get any more political mileage out of making those kind of claims? Could it be worse? Do they have a plan we don't know about? Do they hope to win the next commissioner's election and they want to get their hands on the money? Some have made public announcements repeatedly that if they don't get the road, they don't want Swan County to get 1 cent. This shows no recognition or appreciation for the fact that Swan County paid off the debt made by their ancestors using the Pony Creek Road District to build the original road. It's very hard to understand opposing the protection of these funds for all generations to come. It's not pro-road. It's not pro-settlement. It's about being responsible about ensuring the future of Swan County if there's a settlement. CEFSC will continue to work for the protection of these funds at the local level, at the federal level, and at the state level. I commend Senator Snow and Representative Hare for their efforts to protect the principal. Thank you.
This board,
Yes. Sorry, I made a request to the board at the last meeting that we could open our mouth, that the meeting night where we can speak be changed from the last second meeting of the month to the first, or however it goes. Anyway, I was requesting that it be changed. I've heard nothing from that. So I have some more questions. Why was the meeting night changed? And I don't know if a public hearing is required before such a change is made or not, but if so, I don't believe one has been held. I don't remember one being advertised. Maybe a county attorney can answer
The
that.
board is not required, the board can do that on their own through resolution.
Okay. I'd still like to know why it was changed. I've gone to commissioners' meetings for 100 years, and they've been on Tuesday night, and why it was suddenly changed to Monday night. I have my own thoughts about it, but I'd like to know if I'm wrong or not.
how about our tax collector's report?
May of 08, total receivable for the year is $4,038,832.74, with the tax lien, cost of interest and penalties, and the 2007 tax collected for the month of May, which was $34,440.85. Year to date, we have collected $3,855,427,000. With the back years from 99 to 2006, we have collected for the year $4,997,656.79. Our ad valorem budget to receive is $3,821,783.61. So we're over already. Our vehicle tax for the month was $20,834.88. Vehicle tax collected year to date is $261,519.11. Waste fee collected here this month is $11,940.95. Waste fee collected year to date is $648,734.40.
Your motion is we approve the tax report as read.
I'll make that motion.
Is that your second? Everybody in favor say aye. All opposed likewise. Motion carried. No legal issues. Okay. Action item to consider secondary road resolution. a public hearing on that, right? Okay.
This is to allocate the funds for the secondary road program. You did have a public hearing on that issue back in May, and this is the final phase of it. You just have to approve this resolution, which is the exact same thing that was presented to the public at that time.
Anybody have a question or anything? I hear a motion in that we approve this secondary road resolution for Swan County, 2009. Okay, I hear a second. Everybody in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed likewise. Motion carried. Okay. COPS grant submission. I believe we had some discussion the other night on this. Please, what? Sure, what we asked for.
So the sheriff asked for, if we could apply for 2 positions through this grant, and he wanted the county to provide the 2 vehicles to the grant.
You hear any more discussion or anything on this item?
You said vice versa also.
Yeah, you said vice versa too. Right?
Oh,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You said vice versa, you could either, the grant could either pay for the vehicles and the county pick up the positions.
You can, the vehicles are actually cheaper than the positions are. So you time you figure in the benefits. I love about the vehicle you pick up those 2 positions.
But you didn't you say that you would be willing to go either way, but you either take the 2 vehicles or the 2 positions as long as the grant pays for the other 2?
Right, yeah.
The vehicle or the position?
Yeah, either way. Now, if I'm understanding you right, we're still talking about 2 positions and 2 vehicles. But however it's financed is okay with me.
The only thing here that we're discussing, Kevin, is the 2 vehicles or the 2 positions, right? Not the other positions that he asked for.
No, that's it, just the cost submission.
Just the cost, okay.
And you're only talking really about the 2 positions right now because you don't have a budget room in front of you, so you can't approve the 2 vehicles. You have to put it in next year's budget.
This was the money, am I correct, that come from Congress?
This is money that's appropriated by Congressman Schuler to a grant on the COPS position. And we were under the impression when this came that there was going to be no restrictions. You know, the money be put in the budget, we could use it however we wanted to, but there were a lot of restrictions on that. We finally got the finalized grant application. And if we're going to do anything with this, the grant has to be submitted by June 20th, 11 days from today. The grant has to be submitted or we're not going to get anything.
Any more comment or anything? Okay, do we need to say which?
Yeah, I mean, we just need to proceed to apply for the grant.
Okay. All right. But do we need to make any comment on which one we're going to fund, cars or?
Well, he's asked for the positions.
Okay.
It'll fund either one.
Oh, okay. So
But
we
I
need
think
to.
we'll have to specify in the grant which one that the grant's going to cover.
You would prefer for us to do the position, is that correct?
That'd be fine.
Or the car, which would you prefer?
Well, it would give us a little more money in the grant if you fund the position. Cars are cheaper than the position.
So do we need to put that form of motion in?
Could we do one of each? Could we do one position and one car?
I don't follow you, Steve. You may cut out a position and a car, or just do one instead of
Do
doing
one of
two?
each. Do a car and a position. And you run the other car.
Same deal.
Same deal.
I ask again, do we need that form of motion? And I'll make a motion that we fund the 2 positions.
Here's that.
I'll second that.
Everybody in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed likewise. Motion carried. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, before you move on now, does that mean I can go ahead and start pricing vehicles and get those things ordered? Are we okay with that?
Well, I think that's where Steve was going there with that, because the budget's not passed yet. So until we got to find $54,000, basically, to get 2 vehicles. So they've not appropriated that, they've just given me authority to get the money for the thing. When is the cops grant coming in anyway? I mean, when are you gonna get it? Because usually it's a 4 or 5 month deal.
I'm sure we'll get a letter of approval back pretty soon, maybe 6 months before we see money out of it.
Yeah, you go ahead and apply for the grant and
Okay.
I mean, you can go ahead and apply for the grant, that's what you really want
We
anyway.
have 11 more days to do
Well,
that.
we won't tie that thing down.
Absolutely.
All right. Basically, that's what it is right now. You want to get that grant filed before the 20th, is that right?
Right.
Okay. Presentation of the 208, 209 budget.
I've given you a copy of the budget ordinance, totaling $11,159,666. Also backing that budget ordinance is the solid waste of $939,600. The social service contribution of $1,080,000. The health department contribution of $431,000, and the 911 budget of $452,475. Tax rate in section number 3 established ad valorem tax rate of 33 cents per 100 evaluations, which is the same as it is now. Fees established for solid waste are the same. The only fee that that is proposed to be increased this year is the jail fee, going from 40 to 50. I mean, that's we're proposing that the jail fee goes to 40 to 50 in this budget.
You said you was acceptable with that the other night, is that right?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I believe we discussed it. Did you say you was acceptable with that the other night when we was talking about from 40 to 50?
I think it ought to be a minimum of $50.
That's what's proposed in this budget effective July 1st.
Now that, you know, we do have an active contract with the tribe right now, $40 per day, so that's something.
Anybody that don't,
agree.
you're right. Basically, that's it for the budget ordinance. And the budget will be on display until the 30th of June. Anybody that wants a copy of it can come back and pick up a copy for y'all to look at, and then we'll have a budget hearing on the 30th of June.
Other changes was made, supposed to be in there, but I not saw it since we looked at it first time.
Everything has changed as per the budget retreat.
Okay.
Okay, soil and erosion control ordinance update. Kim?
This is just following up on Mr. John Heron came to you in April, I think it's April 28th meeting, to address some concerns that he had related to use of the word affected in the ordinance, particularly, I think it was Amendment 5, Section 23. Is that right, Mr. Heron? And I looked at that. I think that the way it is fine, and the intent behind it is clear. I understand his concerns, but I think that it's fine the way it is, but certainly this board may make any changes you want to the ordinance after publication of notice of change in ordinance and having a public hearing on it. So I talked to Mr. Siegel, who administers this ordinance, and he understands it to be based on the same intent that Mr. Heron understands it. So I think that it's fine the way it is legally as far as the wording, but this board can change the wording at any time upon public hearing. So if you decide to do that, just let me know, and we can certainly fix it and bring it back before you for that consideration. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
So John was asking to be used disturbed instead of affected, correct?
Right, he wanted to use, he wanted to say $100 per acre of land disturbed by land disturbing activity. So that was his recommendation. And I don't think it's up for vote tonight, but just consideration. If y'all want
Right.
to ask me any questions about it, I'm happy to answer them, or, call me and we can talk about it and bring it back before.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chairman, I realize I'm out of order, but if you so ought not to adjust or amend, I'd ask for a written clarification, just so that I understand the intent of the board for this regulation. A clear understanding of it.
I think you understand, I'm happy to do that, but I think that the clear understanding is that it's based on whatever portion of land that is being disturbed and is affected by that. So but I'm happy to do whatever you desire me to do.
I think
Okay, tax appeal, is it been tabled?
Had to table that one or not.
Okay,
approve it,
all right.
yes.
Okay. Mike Clancy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For those that may not know why I'm addressing the board tonight, an open agenda as an agenda item. Senate Bill 1646 was introduced and passed by the State Senate 20 May 08. Question to the audience so they'll know and be on board. Have anyone in the audience seen this bill or know what I'm talking about? Yea or nay? Yes. In case you don't, Mr. Chairman, please indulge me. Let me give the members of the audience a copy of that so they'll have a clue what we're talking about tonight. I think we'll pass it on. I find it very disturbing to a certain degree about a sudden introduction into a bill that involves such a hot item that affects everyone in Swan County. May I ask you, since we're all on even turf at the moment, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, just when did you find out about Senate Bill 1646 as a collective group or individual? Now, this is open discussion, and we're all on the same plane. This is not public comment. So, polling of you will be allowed. It is allowed under the auspices of being an agenda item. So, interaction with you would be greatly appreciated. Because the public needs a fair shake on this. Because as representatives to the citizens of Swan County, there has been a representation that a decision was made. Okay? So I'll ask you, when did you find out about 1646?
I heard about it about an hour before it was passed.
And when was that, Mr. McKee?
The day it was passed, I don't remember that day, but I heard about it about an hour before.
Okay, Mr. Garza?
I just heard of the bill that they were going to introduce one. My desire personally is if the federal government decides to settle this by a monetary settlement, that it be protected to where nobody can walk off with it.
Mr. Moon?
A certain individual came to my place of business with a copy of the bill, and we went over it and discussed it, and I was pleased with it.
And when might that be?
That was probably right after the bill passed.
After the bill
I
passed.
think so.
So you had no input before the bill was introduced and did not have knowledge of it. Mr. Chairman, your turn.
Okay. We had a resolution filed back in, I don't know, wherever, to protect this money.
When, sir? I'm sorry.
To protect the money if and whenever we did receive the money. Okay? And we asked the representative then to craft us a bill through the legislation session.
Okay, I didn't hear when. I might have missed that because I'm definitely one here, sir.
Well, when we had the resolution, whenever it was back in 2003 or whenever.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't this year is what you're saying, sir? It was not in this year, 2008? Okay. Ms. Lindsay, what did you hear
I'm not
about?
certain of the exact time. I think it was just after it was approved, but I was very supportive of the bill.
Okay. My question was when you found out about it, so. All right, did you participate in the writing of the bill? Did you have input to that, Mr. Chairman? Did this commission, did this board of commissioners have input into the conjecture, the language, and the promotion of that bill?
Have a what now?
Did you have any participation in the writing of the bill?
No.
No? That's a little scary, Mr. Chairman, that,
I think it come out a pretty good bill.
but you say you did not believe our representatives of the county did not have any input to the bill? Is that what you're telling me? I take that as a no, again. Okay. Where did the concept of the bill come from? Since you say you had no input, was this something Mr. Hare and Mr. Snow had come to an agreement one night or something like that? Or, I mean, how was the propagation for something like this to occur? You're on the hot seat, not me.
The answer to it.
Okay. If you citizens are happy with that resolution,
Well,
we'll go there. That's fine.
that's where it came from, the resolution.
You can, I'll be in convention.
What I read.
Have you read the final version of the bill? And I'll take that since you said it was passed, you did, so we got that. Did you know the bill was introduced directly to the floor and did not go through committee? That's highly unusual for any bill to go to the state legislature. Members of the public, I would like you to take note of that. That does not normally happen. My question is, what was the rush? Can anyone from the board answer that? Now, we have two negotiators sitting with us, Mr. King and Ms. Lay. Can you answer if there was a rush with that?
I had no knowledge of it, so I can't answer that question.
Okay, so that leads me into the next question. Was the introduction of the bill evolving out of the negotiations that you and Mr. King had on the 19th of May, 2008, with the National Park Service and the other three signatories? So this introduction was without your knowledge, and just so happened the day after the last meeting where no notes and no minutes were taken. Am I understanding that correctly?
That was not part of the discussion that day.
Okay. So there's no discussion there about that. Okay.
No doubt you disapprove of this bill, is that correct? Am I correct in assuming that?
That's a fair enough assumption, Mr. Moon.
What part? Why?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Mr. Clinton, of all fairness, you've asked questions, so he should be able to
Okay,
answer your
fine.
question. He is a commissioner,
I
and he can.
I understand that, but we're all on the same level playing field, and I will get to that, like I have said on some of the questions already that, yeah, you've answered it, and I went on to it. Please bear with me, okay? I will admit there's been a good thing happen.
What's that?
Okay. That's a good question, Mr. Moon. What's that? This money's been tied up to the state legislative correction, the state treasurer's office, and trust fund. That's a good thing. I think someone alluded to earlier that maybe someone's looking at lining their pockets. Maybe not this administration, but another one. I don't know about that.
In what way? I mean,
I don't know what way. That's what Mr. Winchester alluded to earlier. Now, you have his comments on public record.
but I think this bill pretty much puts that fear.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Someone does have that fear. That's one of the highlights of this bill is that that's not going to happen in my pocket.
Mr. Carson shaking his head, and I'm agreeing with Mr. Carson. You're absolutely right.
That was my goal before I said, if the government decided that's what they were gonna do. It's not my money, it's not their money.
Right.
It's the people's money.
And it's not the state's money.
If it can be protected, that's the only way we need it.
And it's not the state's money. That was another thing. And that was brought out in the session.
That's correct.
All right, in the last meeting, Mr. King and Ms. Lay.
May I say something?
Yes, sir.
Since Mr. Carson here made a statement, if the government decides, I would be under the impression it would be up to the four signatory parties to decide, not federal government, on whether this money.
But they're gonna decide whether or not they're gonna make it settle, and I think that's pretty much how we decide. That's my point.
We have to accept it once their settlement is done, yes or no. And that's not been done yet. There is no money appropriate to get to my knowledge. If there is, I don't know about it. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, that's very good. In the last meeting of negotiation between the four signatories, Superintendent Dickinson advises that Congressman Schuler's office had 3 representatives present in attendance. Were you as a board aware that someone other than the 4 senators were going to be in attendance to the last meeting on 19 May 2008, Mr. Chairman?
He's their congressman, he can do what he wants to, I guess.
Excuse me, let me go with that. We, as the public, have been denied, as well as fellow commissioners or other commissioners on your board, to make attendance to this meeting. They were discriminated against, and they were barred from a public attendance because this was, quote, not an open meeting. Why would we allow someone that's not a signatory in there? Mr. King, Ms. Lady, did you know about a man there?
That's not part of this agenda item, Mr. Clinton.
It ties into the Senate bill because of the date of the bill being introduced was the day after y'all's meeting.
There was
Okay,
not
I'll prefer to move on. That's fine, no problem. Tell you what, as the old saying goes, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Indulge me, if you will. I have an official copy of the Senate floor debate of 41 minutes that Mr. Snow presented on Senate Bill 1646, and I think the citizens of Swan County, as well as the commissioners, need to hear exactly what transpired and what happened. We're not going to listen to all 41 minutes. I have it encapsulated, much less time than that. So let's just hear actually who said what and see if that was a true representation of this board.
Calendar Senate Bill 1646, clerk will read. Senate Bill 1646, an act providing for the order of fiscal management of a monetary settlement, the 1943 agreement between Swan County and the United States Department of Interior. Senator Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this is a bill that puts to rest a controversy that's been brewing for many years in Swan County. In the early 40s, there was a dam built there called TVA, Fontana Dam, and when that dam was built, it took homes, it took roads, took a lot of land in Swan County. And at that time, the National Park Service agreed to build a road. And that dispute over that road has been centered over for years and years. And finally, in 2007, the National Park Service, after a complete study, concluded that pavement or building a road in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park was just not something that they could do for conservation and for environmental reasons and whatever. And so now they've negotiated into a position where Swan County is negotiating with the federal government and Park Service to come to a monetary settlement. This bill will allow that money when the settlement finally comes, and that bill could be, that amount of money could be in a range from up to $53 or so million down to $30 million. But when that money is finally turned over to the county of Swain, they want to invest it and let the treasurer's office to have a trust fund to take care of this money to see that it grows and is used in a proper way. Only the interest off of the funds under this bill would be usable by the Swan County. And anytime, if it were to come to a situation where they thought they needed to use the principal for any certain purposes, it would require them to have a vote and have 2/3 of the registered voters in Swan County approve that use of that money. And you ask me why you want to put restrictions like this and why you want to have a fund. You need to understand that Swan County, 86% of all the property in Swan County is owned by the federal government. A good part of it is held by the Eastern Band of the Cherokee. A good part of it is in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And then there's also some parts that are held under the United States Forest Service. So the tax base in Swan County is very, very difficult, if you understand what I mean, to try to do the things they want to do in a county that's still growing. So this is their proposal, to put this money with the state treasurer where it'll be safe, it'll be properly invested, and they want to use the interest off of that money to fund the programs that are necessary for schools and infrastructure, things they need to do in their own county. So that's the tenor of the bill, and I would ask for your support.
Discussion debate. Mr. President.
Senator Smith, for what purpose do you rise? I'd like to ask Senator Snow some questions. Bill, I do. Senator Snow, this bill concerns a tragedy in Swan County. As you well know, that the federal government did not keep its word and honor to the people of Swan County. Is that not correct? No, I don't agree with you in those terms. I think they found that trying to honor the agreement to build a road was not only harmful to the county in the sense of the environmental damage that it would do, but it was also prohibitive in cost. But at the time this agreement was entered into in 1943, the federal government promised the people of Swan County that they'd build a road to the cemetery where their ancestors were buried, yes or no? They promised they would build a road, and it wasn't necessarily straight for the cemeteries. That wasn't the only reason that it was to be built. You'd like to attach that to it to say that makes it worse, and it does make it bad. But let me tell you this. The federal government now is authorizing and providing transportation to the people who have people that are buried in this area several times a year so they can visit those graveyards and do the things that they need to do there to honor the dead. And those graveyards will still be preserved. They're not going to be taken away. They're still going to have access to it, but they're just not going to be able to road there. Is there any provision in the settlement that guarantees that access to those graveyards will be guaranteed? There's already provisions for the access to those graveyards that's guaranteed, as I understand it. That's what I understand. But there's not anything in this bill that speaks to that, because it's talking about property saving and using the money and letting it grow so that it can help the county that has 86% of its property held by the federal government. Do you know an amount certain that the federal government is agreeing to pay to Swan County for the failure to keep its word? The amounts of money that I've heard, the top area, if I can remember, is either 58 or $53 million. And then I've also heard that it could be less than that, down to as low as 30 million. I think those are the figures that I've heard. So we really don't know how much money the federal government's going to pay. Is that right? We don't have a final figure. Okay? Have the people of Swan County been told the details of this proposed settlement? They have been aware of the settlement. This settlement and this request comes from the Swan County Commissioners. And the agreement and the contract and the proposal to place it under the Treasurer's office took place in open session of their meetings in Swan County. So this matter has come on before the County Commissioners of Swan County and been voted on this year. They've offered a resolution supporting this. This year. Okay, thank you. Mr. President, Senator Appedock who would like see Senator Snow deal for a question, please. Yes, sir. Senator Snow, is this one of the type of trust funds like the governor rated a few years back? Would he be able to come in and take these monies that belong to Swan County? No. If you looked at it carefully, you can see that the money is only be dispersed to Swan County, and no, let's say, things that the county might be getting from the state government that could receive no credit out of this account. This money will stay Swan County's forever, and only the interest will be used. Only the principal could ever be used by a vote of 2/3 of the majority of the voting people in Swan County, if ever. Follow up, please. I'm thinking back to a few years ago when we had the shortfalls. They went in and raided the funds that were held for the universities off the license plate sales in those trust funds. And I'm just wondering, could it be a possibility that this could be, did also? I think not. I think that the statute itself speaks to that. This money doesn't belong to the state of North Carolina. It's held in trust by the treasurer, and it doesn't belong to the. You could say these other trust funds essentially belong to us, and they're being held that way, but these funds do not belong to the state of North Carolina, they belong to Swan County.
Mr. President, may I speak on the bill, please?
You have the floor.
Thank you. I respect what Senator Snow has done here. I think it's the right thing to do with the gains we've received off of this dispute over the last 60-some years. I personally have always felt the right thing to do is to live up to what we promised the people in 1943 when we took their lands, blocked their roads, and kept them from going to their family home places that had been theirs for centuries. And it's been an ongoing struggle, and I know Senator Snow's not in the middle of this, and like I said, I think he's doing the right thing with gains I wouldn't classify as ill-gotten, but maybe as misguided. So I urge you to vote against this, not against Senator Snow, but against the whole principle of what has transpired. Thank you.
Mr. President, Senator Smith is recognized. One more question for Senator Snow. He yields. Yes, sir. Senator Snow, again, Senator Apodaca emphasized this. This is not a personal thing. I know you're doing the best you can for your folks, and I understand that. On page 3 of your bill, under section F, it says that the Board of Commissioners in Swan County may direct the Swan County Board of Elections to conduct an advisory referendum. Now, an advisory referendum, as I understand it, is that people are just giving their opinion. That's not a binding referendum. So, if they want to make an advisory referendum and the county commissioners decide to invade the principle of this settlement, as I understand it, they can do that because that referendum is only advisory. And I misread that. No, I don't think you misread it to the fact that it's advisory, but I think if you jump back over in section C, it speaks to the two-thirds majority required. This is no portion of the principal amounts of the fund may be dispersed to Swan County, absent a request by the Swan County Board of Commissioners, accompanied by a certification by the Swan County Board of Elections that two-thirds of the registered voters in the county voted in favor of the disbursement and subsequent expenditure of the amount requested in the referendum conducted under section H of this section. So in essence, what that's saying to me is that they cannot spend it unless two-thirds of the people vote for it. Thank you. Can I speak on the bill? I do want to emphasize that I think Senator Snow is doing the right thing, and that maybe this is the best resolution of a bad matter. But I can tell you, there are people all across Swan County who are very upset about this matter. This is an example where the government came in and took these people's land 60 years ago and promised to build them a road, as Senator Apodaca said, to their home place and to their ancestral burial ground, and the government defaulted on that promise. And it's a bad situation. This is a perfect example of what the government shouldn't be doing. I'm going to vote for the bill because I think Senator Snow's done the right thing. But I certainly hope that the state of North Carolina would never do anything like this. Mr. President.
I believe, Mr. Chairman, we get the gist of what's transpired on the Senate floor there. Since we don't know how much money we're talking about, there's evidently no money appropriated at this time. There's no time frame for disbursements. The debate on that, Senator Snow advised of guaranteed access. As commissioners, are you aware that last year, in 2007, the National Park Service defaulted on the transportation of senior citizens from the Calhoun House to not one, but two of the cemeteries, because they said there was only room for 12 and there were 75 people there. Did you know that? That's a yes or no question. Each of you, did you know that?
That was 3 cemeteries.
Okay, I stand corrected. 3 cemeteries. Now, that's in contradiction of what Mr. Snow said. I'll just use the word contradiction. That's number one. Since Snow has no idea of how much money is to be dispersed, as commissioners, do you have an idea of some amount of money is being pursued exactly? Is it 6 million? Is it 16 million? Is it 30 million? Is it 52? Is it 109? Or is it 660 million? Do you have a clue? As your negotiators, have they taken and narrowed it down? And I'll ask that of the negotiators. Is it open on the table, or is we put ourselves in a box?
We go by the resolution that was established by this board in 03, which is $52 million.
Okay, now, thank you, Mr. King. That's, we're getting somewhere. Okay, I'm going to ask again, when this matter has come before the sitting board and the citizens of Swan County to have been voted on, as asked by Senator Smith in this year, 2008, Mr. Menteith, I kindly request, as a commissioner, can you tell me that this sitting board has passed in this year a resolution on an amount of money and discussion on the Southern North Shore Road, other than having the two people appointed by the board earlier this year to do negotiations? In other words, can you tell me, have y'all as a board sit down and talk about this?
None that I know, President.
And have you been in an open session and discussed it with the public that you know of?
None that I've been present.
Mr. Carson? I take that as a no. No. Mr. Moon?
Also, that's a no.
No. Chairman? No. Madam Liz? When has this sitting board of commissioners voted on any monetary settlement? That's sort of repetitive, but that didn't include including the public. That could have been one of those closed door meetings, or maybe informal discussion. Any informal discussion that you know of. I'll not be like the rules and regs that say a no answer is a yes. I'll take that as a no. After listening to the floor debate from the Senate, would you say that Senator Snow represented the passion and the people of Swan County accurately and truly? Be truthful with yourself before you answer, because I'm going to ask you. Yes, sir. I'd like to have an answer. Anybody wants to start first? Madam Lindsay?
I think he represented us.
He represented well.
I appreciate what he did.
How about you, Chairman?
I have no problem with what he done. I think he represented us well. We get a monetary settlement. He's done great on the bill.
How about you, Mr. Moon?
And me also, I absolutely agree with what he said, and I appreciate what he's done, who he is, and what he stands for.
How about you, Ms. Carson?
I don't agree with the settlement period, but that's just my personal opinion.
Well, we can talk honestly. It's okay.
But I do agree with the way that it would be handled if they decide to do a monetary settlement.
Mr. Menteith?
I think about 5 or 6 things.
All right.
First of all, I wish I knew the bill was going to be brought up.
Speak loud so everybody can hear you.
I find that I wish I had known the bill had been brought up. First of all, I would have went down and testified against this bill. I could have at least answered some questions that the senator that represents us did not know. I find the bill to be very offensive because nobody from Swan County was there to either support or deny it. I think the cost of the road that he discussed, he says how much the road would cost, he didn't know. He said there's also been a figure introduced in the EIS study that shows that it would cost half of what the EIS study says to build the road. They know about it. I presented it to them. It was a month-long study done by the same one. Environmental impact of it, he said that Park Service said that it would destroy the park basically. That's not what the EIS study said. It says nothing there that could not be moved to go around. So therefore, the EIS study says nothing would bother with the environment. He went in the office on that. He didn't even not even know about the $52 million. He gambled around, staggered around about other figures. This is our representative in Raleigh, and I personally think that he did not represent us very well because he didn't know the answers when they were asked. And if some of us could have been there, we could have at least answered those questions, had the opportunity on the Senate floor to state the truth. Because I have been there on some other bills that the truth didn't come out until it was pointed out. So I think you've done a pretty sorry job.
Did you have a couple of other items, Mr. Menteith, that you wanted to address with that?
Later on, I have got several issues.
Okay, I'll continue with what I have, and then I'll open it up to your other items. July 13th, 2007. Mr. King, to follow up with item C, may I kindly request in writing an official copy of the minutes and resolution to the Commissioners, going on record for acceptance of cash settlement, identifying those in agreement with those dissenting. The answer from Mr. King is item C. The previous Commissioner has gone on record for cash settlement in a resolution of 2003, not 2008.
Yeah.
So until this board wants to change the position or reaffirm the resolution of 2003, the vote of 2003 is a record. And I believe Mr. Snow perjured himself there. Now, I'm not sure, but that's not this year. And you've not reaffirmed that position either, gentlemen and ladies. May the 21st, Commissioner Menteith requested official answers on the city board, calendar year or otherwise, and I was informed nothing has been done in his presence. And I take that as true and representation information across the entire commission board. In the EIS study, there is an appendice of local government rules and written local government resolutions and correspondence. Ladies and gentlemen, your resolution that Mr. Snow so emphatically was passed in this calendar year was in fact passed and adopted the 11th day of February 2003, as I have a copy. Should you like to have one to refresh your memory, I have extra copies. It talks about $16 million. It talks about $150 million. But to the end, a cash settlement of $52 million was a decision decided on at that time. With inflation and other reasons of the economy, don't you think we're getting cut short there, Mr. Carson? Gasoline's now $4 a gallon. It wasn't $4 a gallon in 2003, was it? Taxes weren't as high in 2003 as they are now, are they, Mr. Moon?
No.
More population on the road these days and more opportunities for tourism than they were in 2003. Is that not correct? So an economic benefit to settle for pennies on the dollar is what it boils down to. 52 million, unless my math is terribly long, if we'll say 60 million, that's 10 cents on the dollar for 600 million. We're looking at less than 10 cents on the dollar for a settlement. Let me ask the public, would anybody like to put some money in my pocket at that kind of rate of return? I don't think so. Mr. Menteith, you had a couple items. I'm willing to listen to those.
I've got some items all this board, actually.
Okay. It doesn't have anything to do with this fund, this city bill?
No, I addressed the items that have
Okay.
that require that vote.
Okay. I'll let you put the heat on me, Commissioners. Come back and ask me something now. I don't mind. Please feel free. I can take the heat. And understand, this is not being aggressive or not being mean. It's not being argumentative to you. This is what open government's about. Presentation of facts and issues, not just opinion. Issues that can be supported by fact and back up with actual communication. And that's what we need more in government. And I'm glad to see it. and I appreciate your time of listening to the actual floor debate. If you want to hear the entire thing, I've got that. So they cost $3, but I'll let you have mine. We'll make you a copy. You won't have to pay $3. It comes from Janice Pruitt, and she is the superintendent principal clerk for the General Assembly. And like I said, that authenticates the information I have, so it's not conjecture. I thank you for your time, and let's pray for cooler weather.
All right, do we have any formal discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple items I'd like to raise with Bill Gates.
All right.
I'm tired of saying from the stand-ups. Two items. One of them is about this little tape recorder here that I use. I had asked, at the last meeting, a couple of our commissioners had asked me, I had a tape recorder in closed session, and I've been carrying it for quite a long time, open session, closed session. A couple of them asked, is it legal to do so? And I think Mr. King contacted Ms. Lay and was advised that what was on that should be sealed, just as information that was done in the closed session. And I had no problem with that, so what I done, I just took and placed it right in front of the board members so it would be gone, nothing done. I did go home, therefore, and write it down, a couple of pages. And so what I'm asking, I asked Ms. Lay the next morning, would she contact somebody in the Institute of Government? She did, David Lawrence, is that right?
David Lawrence, yeah.
And she asked him about it. He kind of made two statements here. He says, first, in one of the statements he made, really didn't see a reason that a board member could not use a tape recorder, open session or closed session for his own personal notes. Nothing to be released to the public, nothing to be released to the media, unless everything is open. Once this, whatever issue is, whatever that issue is done, then it could be opened up to anybody, just like if they contacted Ms. Lay or anybody else, it would be open. And so then he went on further in another statement here, and he felt like that if I did use a recorder in a closed session, that it should be a permission from the board. So what I'm asking now is, will the board be willing to give me permission to use this recorder in closed session for my personal notes? But it's hard for me to write down, ask questions, and listen all at the same time. So I do take the meetings, and when I get through, I go in and put it in my computer, and I can sit back and listen to it at any time. So I would ask the board if you would permit me to use care if I use a tape recorder, even in closed session, for my own personal notes. Somebody, you care? Steve?
As long as it's withheld,
it's that's right. It's nothing to be released to the public. Steve, you have a problem with me doing it?
If that's what you want to do.
That's what I've been doing all the time. I mean, you've never seen me give my tape recorder to nobody else or anything in it. And before I used tape recorder, I took notes. I've never given notes out to anybody else unless it was released by the board.
We'd have to take your word for that.
Well, I took an oath, and I took an oath to serve the people of this county, that I would uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of North Carolina, and that is part of that oath. And so I'm taking my oath very, very seriously. Now, if you don't want me to, that's not a problem.
You said that you erased that in front of the board members. You erased it in front of mine.
Mr. King? No. The two people that asked about it was you and you. Mr. King, did I not erase it in front of both of you?
No, you're erasing it right
I
here.
didn't know you had it.
You're erasing it right here.
I erased
You
it
went
right
out
here.
and told them you erased it.
I went out and told them, I erased it, showed them that it was
I'll
gone.
verify.
I erased it right in front of Kevin, where you could see that it was gone. Zero on it. So I did. No problem. I didn't want to cause confusion.
Well, personally, I would object to it.
Okay, that's fine. How about that, Mr. Jones?
Well, that thing could get lost. Now, you don't know. You may lose that somewhere. Somebody gets around, they pick it up, listen to it or whatever. That's the only reason I would object to it.
Okay. Steve, I have to hear yes or no. If you object, that's fine. That's what you tell me. Then I won't carry it in. But it's got to be done by permission from the board only.
I wouldn't be real comfortable with that. I mean, there's nothing against you personally. I wouldn't really want to see anybody.
That's not a problem. Do you have a problem with me taking notes with pencil piece of paper? None with pencil piece of paper. Everybody okay with that? Ms. Lindsay, you okay with that? If I do it with pencil piece of paper, then I'll just go in there and type it in my computer with the same difference. Is that okay?
It's closed session meetings. Are they closed or not? What is it? Is that what we're saying?
Well, when I take an oath that I will tell people. And so, that's... you can't delete it out of your head.
I don't think it's the fear that you would do that. I think it's a fear that something could be stolen or taken by others who would use it in the wrong manner. And I think that would be my concern, not anything that you would go and say or do.
Could the notes by our clerk of the board be stolen, or same way? Theirs could be stolen, they're taken for it, I mean, their computer could be done the same way mine does, picked up, stole, took out, all be, if. But I'm comfortable with that too, says they don't have a problem with it. That's one of the issues that I want to talk about. Another issue, I'm going to hurry, but I know we all want to go home, including myself. Last week, I heard on the streets in Bryson City that Congressman Schuler had sent 3 people to this last meeting in Ashland. That was 2 weeks after the meeting. I didn't hear it from anybody that went to the meeting. I've never heard of updates. I don't hear updates from the meeting because, that's just waiting to see what goes on. And I've even told Kevin, you don't have to come tell me what went on. You're doing that job, you're doing that meeting, you're doing your meeting. That's the proper time, we'll know. But I do feel like that if a congressman can send in 3 people into a meeting, and I did come and ask Kevin if he did send people. Kevin, you did tell me he had 3 people. Kevin, he made a he said, I can tell you why. I said, I don't know why. I don't care why he sent people. He is not part of the 3 or 4 signatories. Congress is not a part of that signatory. Swan County is. State of North Carolina is. TVA is. Nowhere in it. The same thing about Congress is part of that. We have had other counties. Graham County asked to be able to go sit and listen to those meetings. They were denied. I asked to go be part of, not be a part of it, sit and listen. I was denied. People, the audience here has asked, and we go listen. We were denied. But yet, a congressman can just trot some people right on in there. Whether they speak or not, it's not the point. The meeting has been flawed. We have had, other people has come into these meetings that have not been part of the signatories, and I personally think, guys, what we need to do, as a board, we need to vote right now, throw the whole process away, and do away with it. Because what's going on is wrong, it's not right, it's illegal. According to their own rules, they said them. I didn't. But they don't want to follow them. And the federal government has done Swan County that way for over 65 years. They tell you one thing and they do something else and they make the rules suit themselves when they're doing it. And that's what they're doing with this. So this whole process, as far as I'm concerned, is flawed. We need a resolution from this board. We don't even need to send Kevin Kim back because we need to get out of it, need to be done. Steve, you kind of think that's funny. Why?
Well, don't you glad that we have a congressman that...
But he's not part of the 4 signatories.
But it takes enough of his home county.
Let me, since you've made that statement, my personal opinion, you made a statement, your opinion, I don't think it makes enough for home county to put it to a vote, and if people vote on it, then he can represent the people on what they want in his home county. He's not interested in what the people of this county say. I've asked him personally, let's put it to a non-binding vote, and then we'll get behind it and charge that vote. Well, when I take an oath that I will tell people. And so, that's, you can't delete it out of your head.
I don't think it's the fear that you would do that. I think it's a fear that something could be stolen or taken by others who would use it in the wrong manner. And I think that would be my concern, not anything that you would go and say or do.
Could the notes by our clerk of the board be stolen, or same way? Theirs could be stolen. They're taken for it. I mean, their computer could be done the same way mine does, picked up, stole, took out. All be, if. But I'm comfortable with that too, says they don't have a problem with it. That's one of the issues that I want to talk about. Another issue, I'm going to hurry, but I know we all want to go home, including myself. Last week, I heard on the streets in Bryson City that Congressman Schuler had sent 3 people to this last meeting in Ashland. That was 2 weeks after the meeting. I didn't hear it from anybody that went to the meeting. I've never heard of updates. I don't hear updates from the meeting because, that's just waiting to see what goes on. And I've even told Kevin, you don't have to come tell me what went on. You're doing that job, you're doing that meeting, you're doing your meeting. That's the proper time, we'll know. But I do feel like that if a congressman can send in 3 people into a meeting, and I did come and ask Kevin if he did send people. Kevin, you did tell me he had 3 people. Kevin, he made a statement. He said, I can tell you why. I said, I don't know why. I don't care why he sent people. He is not part of the 3 or 4 signatories. Congress is not a part of that signal. Swan County is. State of North Carolina is. TVA is. Nowhere in it. Does it say anything about Congress as part of that? We have had other counties. Graham County has to be able to go sit and listen to those meetings. They were denied. I asked to go be a part of, not be a part, but sit and listen. I was denied. People, the audience here has asked, and we go listen. We were denied. But yet, a congressman can just drop some people right on in there. Whether they speak or not, it's not the point. The meeting has been flawed. We have had, other people has come into these meetings that have not been part of the signatories, and I personally think, guys, what we need to do, as a board, we need to vote right now, throw the whole process away, and do away with it. Because what's going on is wrong, it's not right, it's illegal. According to their own rules, they set them. I didn't. But they don't want to follow them. And the federal government has done Swan County that way for over 65 years. They tell you one thing and they do something else and they make the rules suit themselves when they're doing it. And that's what they're doing with this. So this whole process, as far as I'm concerned, is flawed. We need a resolution from this board. We don't even need to send Kevin Kim back, but we need to get out of it, need to be done. Steve, you kind of think that's funny. Why?
Well, no, I'm glad that we have a congressman that.
But he's not part of the 4 signatories.
But thinks enough of his home county.
Let me, since you made that statement, my personal opinion, you made a statement, your opinion, I don't think it makes enough of a home county to put it to the vote, and if people vote on it, then he can represent the people on what they want in his home county. He is not interested in what the people of this county say. I've asked him personally, let's put it to a non-binding vote, and then we'll get behind it and charge that vote.
Are sealed until the appropriate times are part of law.
I'm not questioning you. Let's go back. I don't want to get on another issue. Is it okay for me to take written notes? It is.
I did some work on the radio, and one way to keep us first aside, a lot of people, the cat got their tongue, put a microphone in
Well, people get out down the area.
Oh, they will.
Yeah, they sure do.
And some people might have the objective to being tape recorded.
In closed session. So written notes will be okay with you?
And my recommendation, just as your counsel, if you take it or not, is that nothing leave the room except the clerk's minutes, and you have a right to look at those minutes as a board, and based on your recollection, be able to modify the records and the minutes if it needs to be. But that's just my preference, but that's certainly the board's decision.
And also, that would be for your own protection as well, I believe.
That's why I use this right here as my own protection, because then everything that is said, including what I say, is there, and if somebody else makes a statement, nobody can say, I didn't say that, because it's right there in word. Everybody, if it was opened up to the public later on, and somebody said, I didn't say that, turn it on, yes, they did say it, so it's protected me. Or somebody accused me. It is, but we just got to say it, that once it is open to the public, just like she said, once everything is open to the public, anybody in here could go to our clerk to the board and ask them, and they'll give it to them. But that's the same way here. It protects me also.
But the clerk won't have your recording. You have the recording.
Right.
Your computer could get misplaced, stolen, lost, and protect the
We've
privileged
established that I'm not going to
information.
take it in there. What I'm trying to establish, can I take notes? And I've got one says you don't have a problem. Do you have a problem taking notes? Steve?
No,
Okay.
the only reason that I don't think anything should come out of a closed session is because you meet with employees, they have things that they want to talk to the commissioners about, which is very private and everything, and I myself want to honor them and anybody else that comes before the board. Now, that's just the way I feel about it.
You guys are legal representatives.
So I've got 2 people that says that they don't care if me taking my written notice, 2 that prefer me not to. So I guess I would get the vote, so I can take my written notes. Am I correct? Written notes on it. Okay with that? That's not what will be released to the public, it's just in my written notes. Are we okay with that?
It's not really a vote, it's
Okay, because I say this, let me throw this in. I mean, I understand what you're saying. Let's say we go into closed session. While ago, we all heard what we all heard, whatever it might be in there. Whether the sky's blue and white, blue. Who is going to be able to take? When we come out of here, hunt a button on my head and press delete, take that out of my memory, because I'm not gonna walk out there and tell somebody else. All way you're gonna stop me, I get to take a gun and put it in my head and blow my head off. Because I could do that. But again, I take an oath that I won't do that.
Don't do that.
So, on 2 occasions, laid right over here, voted both times, put this to a non-binding vote. Other commissioner boards, states refused to put it up to a vote. Nobody wants to put it to a vote so we can see exactly what the people of Swan County wants. We can't even get a public hearing. Every time we get a public hearing, it stops. Nobody wants to actually know what's going on. I'm just asking that we put this to a vote, get behind it, then we'll know. But until that time, we don't need to be a part of this signatory. People don't need to be going over there because it's flawed. I can't go, you can't go. Graham County can't go. These people here can't go. Nobody can go. But Congressman can send anybody want to. You know, I asked the senator, am I allowed to go? And he said, according to what's written down here, you cannot go. His staff member, J.P. Gearpan, told me that. I didn't argue, I didn't like it. But I didn't argue with it. I just sat down, stayed home, kept my mouth shut. You know, but I was not trying to, you know, push the button and crowd the issue. So I asked that we do not send our people back over there anymore, because the whole process is flawed. If they're going to continue to do so, and I don't expect it to be any other way, we don't need to be a part of it. I can ask you, Philip, how do you feel about it? If you don't want to save it, say you don't want to save it. I'm not trying to put nobody's spot. It's flawed. We're sending people in. Cabinet knows they were there. They're not part of the signatories. We need to be out of it, forgot about it. We need to come together in this county and put this to a vote in this county, find out what this county wants. Then we can go tell the National Park Service what we want. Anybody else make any comments on it? Thank you all.
Mr. Chairman, point of information.
You, sir, you're out of order.
Point of information is not order.
You're out of order, sir. You was on the agenda. Did I hear a motion that we adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to just say one thing. I did a little research on this bill today.
Meeting's adjourned,
I
sir.
understand. But on 5/12, it was introduced. 5/19, it was introduced. 5/26. I find it hard to believe that this bill got through 5/12, 5/19, 5/20, and 5/26. And of the wording in it, that we were not consulted as the Swan County Commissioners. That 4 times this bill was introduced, and nobody even knew about it until after it was voted on. You're the ruling body of this county.
That's the statement I made.
Thank you, sir.